Now, we got a thumbnail up there?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, are we picking up where we left off? We just had a little glitch, as we usually do, folks. Are we picking up where we left off, or do we need to start over again? What do you think? All the first information is gonna be on this, or?
So probably just start over.
Okay, so we'll start over again. Patience, folks, thank you, we think we got it solved now, so we're gonna work on your dog's brain. And the first part is gonna be the senses that he uses to get information to the brain. He knows the difference between there's a grizzly bear in the bushes or there's a little bunny rabbit, maybe a meal in the bushes, right? And he uses his senses, nose, eyes, ears, to get these information there. He also uses these senses to learn his basic obedience, to get with you to learn where, if he's housebroken or not. So we know for a fact that dogs are born trying to please man. They're a pack animal. Their survival depends on them agreeing with the pack and following the rules. They don't want to take over. No one wants to make the rules, right? So what we're going to try to do tonight is show you how to use that basic nature of the pack animal to follow the rules, to make him the most efficient dog he can be in your life and the best family member you've got in your life. And we're going to start with the senses that feed information to the brain. Try to open up a little more information about that. But before we do that, Scott has wrote a little something up last night. We were thinking about this. He wrote some stuff that I thought was really, really informative and intuitive about dogs in general. And I asked him to start off with his little speech. So with no further ado, I'm going to say to Mr. Scott Sinclair, a agitator extraordinaire, let's hear what you got to say, Scott.
All right, so I was sitting there thinking, control stimulus, this, that, and the other, and I started thinking about dogs and different breeds of dogs. And the first thing comes to mind usually is we profile dogs by their breed. Basically, German Shepherds are classified German Shepherds. Say the word pit bull, what comes to your mind? Everybody has the same thought. Doberman Pinscher, Labrador Retrievers, those kind of dogs. But to me, every dog is an individual because every owner is an individual. You take 10 dogs, you'll have a world champion on one end, and you have a junkyard dog. Now that's a bad thing on the other end. In the middle, you have all different characters, and dogs are all different. Unless, to me, Butch, guard dog company, military,
Right.
police, those dogs there are trained on a regiment to be all assimilated to be the same.
That's the goal.
Yes. So basically, the situation those kind of dogs are in is different than personal protection and not or have obedience, but they are there for a purpose only. And they're all, you can take one of 10 dogs and basically they all do the same thing.
Yep.
Okay. But, so to me, profiling dogs is not reality because the owner of the dog basically determines the dog's characteristics, habits, moods, and obedience regardless of the breed. So it's more of an individual thing and having a knowledge to do it the right way, depending on what you want on the dog.
Right.
What I was thinking.
Right. So, and what Scott is talking about goes back to the basic argument that's been around since the 30s with B.F. Skinner and how much of us is genetic and how much of us is acquired or learned. And yeah, your proponents, so at one point they're saying, well, you had the master race, Heil Hitler, and of course that's been totally debunked, and the same thing applies to all mammals. We are more a part of how we're raised. We're more a part of our environment than we are a product of our genetics. So to that end, if you have a better understanding of how your dog's brain really works, how it gets the information to his brain, you're going to have a better relationship with your dog. So with that in mind, Scott did research for me. We came up with some basic information that I think will show you that a well-behaved dog is a simple thing to achieve and not hard at all. So we're gonna go over these things step by step. And of course, as always, any questions, please pop them up there. Anyone who thinks I'm wrong, please jump in there and tell me what an idiot I am. I'm married, I'm used to it, so just go right for it. Right, Scott?
Yes, sir.
Scott's married too, so he ain't gonna hurt our feelings. We've been corrected by the best.
That's true.
So, shoot me one, Scott.
The dog,
Senses.
so basically, talk about frequencies, dogs hearing. Basically, dogs can attribute their sound, the way they hear high frequencies to their ancestors. Wolves, foxes, wild dogs, all developed to hearing the high-pitched sounds of the animals they were seeking to give them actually an advantage in hunting. So that's a good thing. So basically, a human hears 20 hertz to 20,000 hertz. A dog can pick up 40,000 hertz to 60,000 hertz. So the lower the number, the lower the number, the louder the sound. The higher the number, the higher the pitch. So basically, example, if a dog whistle emits usually it starts about 30,000, 25,000 hertz. That's why you can't hear it, because we're done at 20, but they got another range of 40,000 hertz to go.
Right, and so the one thing that people don't realize, I know when World War II, when we started the first canine corps, one of the exercises all the canine handlers had to go through was to stand next to the dog and go, "Good boy," and they, you know, they talk to their dogs like the drill sergeant talked to them. when they're talking in these masculine voices, and I have guys all the time tell me, my dog listens to me because he knows my voice. But at a distance, the problem with that is the lower the tone of your voice, when you drop below 20,000, they don't really hear it. And I'll tell you how they understand, even though you're using that voice, it's not the voice that's telling them that you're mad at them. Because especially, think about your dog way out yonder in the cotton patch, unless you're in Maine, then it would be a strawberry patch, right?
Yes, sir.
So, and you want to call your dog, and you go, here, I said here. The lower your tone goes, the less your dog hears. One reason why your dog may not come on good recalls.
Now, with that, which the lower the sound, the shorter the distance too, correct?
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it cuts down on distance. So, my general rule of thumb is keep everything conversational tone. You know, I may raise the volume, but I'm gonna keep my tone consistent, and that way I know my dog can hear it. So, what else they got, Scott?
Dogs have selective hearing.
Uh-huh.
Did you select?
Like a husband.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
That's why I get along so good with
I was about to
dogs.
say like men.
Agent Butter's over here going, yeah.
I know men do too.
I didn't know this, but dogs can hear out of each ear independently different sounds. They can actually hear things differently.
More selective than
Second
ours.
To me, it goes in out, one out the other, but to them, they can just turn their ear away and not listen at all. And that's a real thing, because of that ability to filter, the way they filter out sounds, they can choose what they want to hear.
More husband-like.
Yeah.
I wasn't going there.
I
but
knew
that's-
I knew Bullet was like my boyfriend. I knew it.
Yeah,
I knew
like your
it.
boyfriend, yeah. So yeah, and so let's think about it. I'm gonna just make a little short statement on this. And we're gonna pair it with the next sense a little bit. So when your dog's out yonder in the strawberry patch sniffing and you call him, you'll know if he hears you because you'll literally see the ear turn towards you.
Mm-hmm.
If it doesn't turn towards you, why waste your breath?
Mhm.
He ain't paying attention to you. That's one sign you can use to work towards a well-trained dog. Because remember, if your dog gets you to repeat come or here about 27 times today, the next time he's really interested in something, because they're really, really good at math, he's going to count. Well, he said it 27 times. Let's try for 29. So watch your dog's ears. There's part of it. Now I'll show you how you can fix that to make that dog more efficient to come back to you. What else we got here? Go to the next sense you got, Scott.
A dog's sense of sight.
Mm-hmm.
A dog might be low to the ground, but it has a heck of a sense of field of vision. Humans have 180 degrees peripheral vision. That's all we got. A dog, eyes inside of the head, up to 250 degrees of peripheral vision, basically. And some dogs, the further dogs are off its head, Brad, the more peripheral vision you have. So if you got this, and that dog's got this back, you can almost see behind his head.
Yeah, and so they're also nearsighted.
About to say that.
More, yeah.
I was about to ask that if
Yeah.
they're nearsighted, because if they're far away, sometimes when people pick up their dogs, they like today, one of them was barking at their person from way far away, but as they got closer, they knew who it was.
Right,
Right?
right, yeah. So we know that dogs can focus well at about 2 to 3 feet.
The closest they can get is 11 inches, 18 inches. After that, they can't see nothing.
Right. So what do you do? Well, one of the pluses to the nearsightedness from a distance is the way their eyes are made because of this amazing peripheral vision that Scott talks about. Though they can't see fine points, like they can't see a rabbit whisker wiggle from 20 yards away, maybe not even 5 yards away. But because everything's kind of blurry, they see everything else around it kind of go with it. So if your dog is way out there in the cotton patch and you want him to come to you and he's not coming, you say his name, and if you see that ear just flick towards you, he just heard you.
Mm-hmm.
So now you have every right in the world to call him to you. But maybe what he's sniffing is way more interesting. So how do you get him to come to you? Well, dogs are attracted to motion. All land predators, cougars, coyotes, wolves, dogs are attracted to motion. That's why they can see that little rabbit whisker wiggle in the bushes. So when your dog's over there, if you're watching him close, when you say his name, if he picks his head up a little bit, if he flicks his ear towards you, you know he heard you. If he didn't hear you, there's no sense in repeating it. You better go get closer, okay? But if he heard you, then all you need to do is make a motion or movement back away from your dog. Simple as that.
Mm-hmm.
It's very simple. And remember, like Scott said, he can see all the way back to here. So when they see you move, they're immediately attracted to motion and they go towards you. So there's how you can get your dog to be more dependable on recalls.
20 minutes at 6:20.
We're already at 20.
Also, King Curl had a question.
Yeah.
We lost
I was just about to-
we lost 8 minutes.
He got it. King Curro had a question.
Oh yeah, King, go ahead. Good looking dog, by the way. Go ahead.
Thank you for sharing this info. Question. If one would want their dog for security work purposes, should the dog's mindset be modeled in the mainly prey drive with little defense drive method? Did you know
Nope. Nope. Prey drive. We're getting off topic a little bit, but I'm gonna jump into this one shortly, and then we will go deeper into that next week. That'll be a good topic for us. Prey drive is great for sport dogs. So here's a short side of that. A dog's always going to go forward in prey drive. When he really feels threatened, he's got two choices: fight or flight. Originally, when I started, the goal was to have a balanced dog. A dog whose prey drive was no higher than his defensive drive. Because in defense, we teach them to choose the fight over the flight. Until they're taught, because they got choices in defense. That's why the sport people don't use defense. Because that dog might choose flight, and you're going to be stuck on the field looking really embarrassed, right? So you take the advantages of prey drive, which are a full mouth bite, and you take the advantages of defense, which is a hard bite. You balance them out, and it's really complicated sounding. You balance them out, and you have a dog who's good for anything. And if someone kicks in your door, and there's 5 of them, and the dog suddenly gets afraid, his defensive prey drive kicks in, and he's still got these two choices, if he has not been trained to choose fight, guess what? Your dog might choose flight, but he be hitting the back door about the time they be hitting you in the back of the head. So, you balance, King, you balance. So, let's go into our senses a little bit. And let's go into how dogs react. You get, dogs are really simple. They have no agendas. They live in the present, here and now. Black and white. That's it. Anything your dog does is for a purpose. You and I might get up and go, oh, look out the window. Or we might call Sexy Sadie and say, hey, you doing there, Sexy Sadie? I just ain't got nothing else to do, thought I'd talk to you. You know? Dogs wouldn't do that. If they really want to see Sexy Sadie, they go knock on the door and see her in person. Right? I mean, sometimes I think they're smarter than we are. We waste a lot of time.
Yeah.
So everything that dogs are doing, there's an exact purpose. So if you want to teach your dog something, you have to give him an exact reason to do it. Period. As we said in the podcast last week from B.F. Skinner, an action successfully completed is more likely to be repeated. So you ask your dog to sit and you give him a treat. You ask your dog to heel and you lead him along and he gets in that position and he's going to repeat it. And as long as there's a reason, you ask your dog to, well, I don't know, climb on the roof, climb that ladder, and he's going to look at you like, and then he's going to hike his leg and wander off. So in your training, remember, give the dog a reason for everything he's doing. If you're trying to teach him a new maneuver, a new behavior, in obedience, for instance, the good thing about the food is you can use the odor of the food to trace the pattern you want the dog to follow. And he'll follow it. And all the time he's following it, those ears with that great 10 times human hearing are picking up exactly what that sound involved for him to get the treat. And the next time he hears that sound, he's going to want to repeat that behavior, right, Scott?
Control stimulus.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So the next thing you need to know about dogs is, or the next little trick is, because they learn things literally, if you're going to teach a more complicated behavior, for instance, we do what we call a discipline recall, where when we call our dogs with the word, we use the word front, they have to come to us and sit, not just come to us and be in our general area. That's a casual recall, like come or here. We want our dog to come and sit, okay? So this goes way, way back when I first started training dogs. The Rocky Mountains were about that tall when I was back then. So we used a system called chain linking. So you have one behavior, you teach one behavior, then you add your next behavior, then your next behavior, then your next, until the dog associates the entire behavior with that one word. So when we're teaching discipline recall, for instance, we'll take a treat, a lure, a ball, whatever the dog likes, we'll stick it in front of his face and we'll say front. And we'll get him to walk right in front of us. He'll wander off a few feet and we'll go, hey doggy, front. And he'll come to us. That's the first link in our chain, all right? We're just saying front and leading him to us. The second link in the chain is we're going to let him be off a few feet, and instead of going up to him and pulling him by the nose with the treat, we're going to, from a distance, say the word front and hold our hand right here, because you want your body language to be consistent, because they read body language more than they hear words. So you're just going to say front. And if he comes to us to get his ball or his treat, we know he's got that link down. So now we go to our next link. We say front, he comes running, and we motion like this to get him to sit, and his fanny hits the ground. We tell him sit, I'm sorry. We move our hand like this and say sit, give him the treat. Front, sit, give him the treat. We now have two links together. Then at some point, we're going to say front, he's going to come running, and we're going to go sss. And before we can do the it part, his fanny's gonna be on the ground because they're really good at anticipating, especially if it's something they want. So now, every time Scott calls Titan, he goes, Titan, front. And he'd just be sitting here, well, it's Scott, so he's sitting there just cleaning his ear. Sit, up front. And Titan comes running, plants his fanny. He's got two behaviors, two moves for one word. Chain linked. This is how dogs learn. Everything from a simple come to sit in front of me to finding a lost child on a mountainside. Add one behavior at a time because they're literal learners. They don't kind of get it, kind of get it, kind of get it. They don't get it, they don't get it, they don't get it, and boom, it snaps. That's how predators learn. Right? Eggs and Butters is making comments over here.
Yes. I will be training a dog and they're like, oh my gosh, you're not getting it for 2 weeks and then, oh, you want me to talk louder so they
Yeah.
can hear me? Oh.
Yeah.
Because I'll be training a dog for like a week and a half. Is that louder? Why
Yeah,
do you know if you
yeah,
want
yeah.
to?
Go, you're doing good. You're doing
And
good.
like I'll come to you and I'll be like, oh my gosh, this dog is not getting it, this dog is not getting it, and then the next day the dog knows everything.
Right.
So
Right. So remember that about your dog. That's why they tell you, used to say it takes patience to train a dog. Today all it takes is electricity, they say. But, you know, I'm on the old school.
we go the patience route.
Yeah. So you'll get very frustrated because you don't think you're going anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And then poof, that's how land predators learn. Period. So just stay with the program. The beauty of that is the more times you do it, the more it becomes ingrained on their nervous system, and the more difficult it is for them to refuse to follow that command once they've got it down. Simple as that. So Yeah,
King Curro said thank you all for this opportunity, Mr. Capel. I will definitely be calling you. Thank you.
thank you, King, and that's still a good-looking shepherd you got. So anyway, well that's what we do is information, right, Scott?
Yes, sir.
So we
You
hope.
guys are so much more informational than me and you. I have scatterbrain, so good job, guys.
Thank you, man. Thank you, man. That's Agent Butters telling us we're doing okay. We'll continue down that road and keep doing it here. And Carol Ann, Scott's better half, she's taking care of our questions and answers. And we got Kennel Chris, man, our techie guy.
I know, I was
he's
shocked
under the
when he was in here.
camera. Yeah. I think he was shocked too.
He was.
So, anyway, next week we were going to do, or I was going to do. Well, I think I will. I'll stick to it. King, I'll work on the prey defense stuff at a later date. But next week, let's do something. Anybody know what is Mother Nature's original training system and the most widely used training system in the world?
Mother
4
Nature's.
centuries. Mother Nature's very own training system.
Oh, is this like a trivia question?
No, this is just what we're doing next week.
Mother
And
Nature's.
if you got absolutely no idea what I'm talking about, then I have just succeeded in getting you to think about it. And that's what we're here for, is to get you to think about it. And if you'd like to know the answer, be here next week,
That's it. Tune in.
6 o'clock. See you guys then.
Hey, whoa! If you ain't having fun,
You ain't training dogs.
No.